If you're studying for your flight paramedic or flight nursing exam, you have to know the oxygen calculation formula. But don't worry, it's easier than playing phase 10. Let's look into it. So there's a couple things that you have to know before you're able to complete this formula. You have to know your pressure, the atmospheric pressure wherever you're starting, and the atmospheric pressure at whatever altitude you're going to be cruising at. And then, of course, whatever FiO2 your patient is at, where you're starting at. That's going to allow us to isolate this one variable and figure out what FiO2 the patient is going to need at altitude. Now, let's take a little time out, put a little asterisk by this. In real life, you're going to titrate your patient to whatever oxygen level is going to keep them oxygenated appropriately. So if you do this formula and you put in the FiO2 and it's not enough to oxygenate the patient, we're going to titrate it up to get the oxygen saturation that we want. But on the test, they might ask you to do it. So let's do a couple of sample problems. Let's say you're starting out at sea level and the atmospheric pressure at sea level is about 30 inches of mercury. And it doesn't matter what unit you use. You can use PSI, you can use inches of mercury, just so long as you're using the same one on both sides of the equation. All right. So our atmospheric pressure there is going to be 30. Okay, we're going to multiply that. Let's say the patient is on 40% FiO2. We know that that is going to equal the pressure at our second altitude. And let's say we're going on a commercial flight. And most commercial airliners pressurize their cabin to an altitude of 8,000 feet. The plane is actually at like 35,000 feet, but they pressurize the cabin with the atmospheric pressure of 8,000 feet. And we know that that is about 22 inches of mercury. And then that leaves our variable here, our second FiO2. So we're going to divide each side by 22. Let me do the math about it. We're taking 30 times 40, divide it all by 22, and that gives us an estimated FiO2 of 55% for that transport. Let's do another one. Let's say you're starting out at sea level. Again, our pressure at sea level is going to be that 30 inches of mercury. Let's say this time we're going up in a rotorcraft and we've got to climb over a short mountain range to get to where we're going. And so we're going to have to climb to 11,000 feet. And let's say that we've got the patient on 50% FiO2 this time. Our pressure at 11,000 feet is going to be 20 inches of mercury. And then that's going to allow us to solve for that variable, which is that FiO2 that we're going to need at that cruising level of 11,000 feet. So we're going to take 30 times 50, and we're going to divide it. We got to isolate that variable, divide it on each side by 20. And that gives us an FiO2 of 75%. If you're studying for your FPC or your CFRN, you definitely need a book, But Why? It's over 300 practice questions with the correct answers and rationales to help you actually understand the content and not just memorize test questions. There you have it, But Why? It's available on my website at www.nurseglennie.com. Good luck.